Okay, this is the morning of September 24th, and we're now getting into intellectual property, and we're going to be beginning with copyright. So you might want to open up your copyright PowerPoint, and we'll go straight to number 2. This is what the Constitution says about copyright. Yes, it's in the Constitution. Don't forget that. The Copyright and Patent Clause empowers Congress, quote, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. So, whatever you create, if you create a story in a magazine or you write music, whatever, you deserve to own the rights to that piece of work. Not in all situations. As we know, the law has exceptions. So we go on. So what is the assumption? In our book, on pages 161 through 162, the assumption is, quote, people will produce more creative work if they are guaranteed protection for the fruits of their labor. I wouldn't be terribly motivated. The reason I'm motivated to do research in academia is not because I get paid for it. I don't. But I gain a little fame. I gain a little respect in my area of expertise. People begin to know me. They see my name in certain journals and that sort of thing. Now, if I didn't get that, I would certainly want to be paid for it, but we just don't have a system for that. By the same token, if others can borrow or simply claim credit for your work to gain money, fame, etc., without giving you credit, there is less incentive for you to create. So why discuss copyright issues? What does it mean to be a content creator today? We hear a lot about that. What does it mean to have content so easily accessible in today's world, where I could go to any website and highlight text, copy it, and plunk it into something that I'm writing? Can software programs like Turnitin help with copyright concerns? We'll have to see. What is copyright? It's a form of protection that gives the creator of an original work the exclusive right to publish and distribute that work. Now, I'll go back to my example of doing research in academia. When I do my scholarship and I write an article, and it's published by a journal, the journal owns my copyright. I no longer own that piece of work. If I wanted to publish it again in some other work, I would have to get the permission of the owners of the journal to use my own work. Copyright is automatic, though the U.S. Copyright Office suggests formal registration for legal reasons. It's called Get It in Writing. Leave a paper trail. You want to be able to prove things. You can't just say, well, I did it. Well, how do we know you did it? Well, I did it. I signed my name to it. Well, sometimes that's not enough. Copyright is a time-limited protection, but some works' copyright can be renewed. Once the copyright expires, the work enters something called the public domain. That means it's a repository of work that is now open to the public. If I want to take, I used to be an artist. If I want to take a drawing from somewhere and put it in a story that I'm writing, if it's in the public domain, I can do that. I can even get paid for this book that I'm writing, that I put the picture in, as long as it's in the public domain. No. So what's in the public domain? Well, Beethoven's music. You may find that you hear a song today a new song, let's say by a hard rock group, and you hear a line in it that is so familiar, something like da 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 da. That is Beethoven's, but it's in the public domain, so you can put it into your song if you want to, for nothing. You don't have to pay for it, you don't have to get permission for it. Same with Shakespeare's writings. If you find a line in Shakespeare that you think would really be great in your paper, um, by all means, give credit if you wish. You can do that at the end in your bibliography, but you don't have to get permission for it and you don't have to pay for it. We're moving on to slide 8, I believe. Yes. Here's another example. U.S. President's speeches. I can use them in my writing. I have analyzed one of President Obama's speeches, and I could take anything out of his speech that I wanted. And this is an interesting thing. You own it because you are a taxpayer in this country. Taxpayers own whatever the president produces in his work as president. What does it protect? A lot of things. Original works of authorship fixed in any tangible medium of expression, tangible. So that could be a tape recording, that could be an audio file, it can be a video file, a JPEG, it can be anything that you can touch and hold. Must be a product of the author's or creator's labor rather than borrowed from some other source. So that should tell you right away that if it was something in the public domain, you cannot now take that out of the public domain and copyright it. Can't do that. Because you didn't do it. It wasn't your labor. Oh, and the last, sufficiently permanent or stable to permit it to be perceived, reproduced, or otherwise communicated for a period of more than transitory duration. Think about that. Think about that. Moving on to 10. What does copyright protect? Well, there's some more things. Works in any medium of expression now known or later developed. That when we use those words, or later developed, that protects us right now because we have no idea what type of media will come down the pike in 6 months. We just don't know. People are working on inventions all the time. From which they can be perceived, reproduced, or otherwise communicated either directly or with the aid of a machine or device. This is from the 1976 amendment to the copyright law. Basically, anything that can retain information. Work that displays some minimal level of creativity. Level required is very low. Most works qualify no matter how crude, humble, or obvious. I have heard that people who have pet chimpanzees have put a paintbrush in their hands and they've painted things and they've copyrighted the painting because they plan on selling it. So they don't want somebody else to steal it. As long as there is some sign of intellectual production of thought and conception. Another man had I think a 4-year-old daughter who he said was very good at painting, and he showed her paintings, and I think it was on 60 Minutes or something, he showed her painting, very brief periods of time that he showed her painting, so you kind of didn't know if she was really doing it. It looked way too sophisticated for a 4-year-old. Minimum requirements for qualifying for copyright. To earn copyright protection, a work must be original, fixed in a tangible medium of expression, and moderately creative. These are the three criteria. Don't forget them. You will see them on a test. On slide 4, original works of authorship eligible for copyright protection. The Copyright Act presents the following categories of original works, and there are many of them. It's not just this one slide. Literary works, including computer programs, musical works, dramatic works, pantomimes, and choreographic works. That means if you design or create a dance. Pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion pictures and other audiovisual works, sound recordings, architectural works, collections of individually copyrighted works. Okay, I'm going to stop right here on slide 14, and we'll pick it up in the next movie.